carries significance and prominence, and those people served with great distinction and should be acknowledged again. So for those of you who are being forced to leave our board due to term limits, I just really want to say thank you. Wikipedia credits Spider-Man, and I did not know this, I swear to you, with the adage, with great power comes great responsibility. You knew that? Thank you. So now the president's daughter is getting on my case. So let's welcome those who will be joining the board as new members, because with great power does come great responsibility. And we also want to welcome back those with renewed terms and those staying on. So thank you to our board members who seriously make all the great work we're celebrating tonight happen. Thank you. I want to thank our incredible staff. They've been acknowledged tonight, but I do want to call out some people, specifically our senior management team, who I get to work very closely with, bless you. In no particular order, because I actually went around the office in my head clockwise on this, was Andy Epstein, our CFO, who is getting the brief tonight for the screen not working, sorry. Robin Rockland, the managing director of Miami. She can't be here tonight. She has a ton of Sheva Brachos. It's almost like 14 at this point, or 21, but we congratulate her on that. Laura Freeman, who makes so much happen here, our managing director of marketing and communications. And our chief of staff, Naomi Knopf, who makes so many things work. And of course, Lisa Harris Glass, our COO, who, as you know, will be starting her next journey as CEO of Rutgers Hillel on July 5th. Way to take time off in between, Liz. But what's important to note about everyone on our management team is that everyone but Andy has been with the organization at least 12 plus years, which is pretty remarkable if you think about labor patterns in this country and what's been going on. So it's really a testament to how this community functions and operates. But there's even more to that, because there are others who have served with great distinction as well that I want to call out. Nathan McCoy started with this organization when LBJ was president. I poop you not. 1968, we looked it up today. LBJ. So when we talk about young leadership, I know I wasn't born yet, and I know many people in this room aren't. That's pretty remarkable that she has been with us that long. Deborah Carger, who many of you know, she actually started when she was one in 1984. So Deborah's here. We'll acknowledge Deborah for that. Bill Dunphy started as a toddler in 1987. Barbara Joyce, you started in the pre-K program in 1993. And now you're winning these awards. Look at you. Danny Lopez, I think he was a fetus when he started here in 1994, because Danny's younger than I am. Right? Yelena Karakash was, I'm putting her at about 1 to 2 when she started in 1995. Sandra, where's Sandra Greenberg? You started here, I think you were probably in elementary school, right?
Yeah, something like that.
In 2003, so that's 20 years. And then we had triplets in 2004. We had Lois Green, who was mentioned. Is Lois still here? We'll clap for her at some point anyway. Marla Chertoff and Robin Rockland. So it's pretty remarkable that in a staff of 45 to 50, that we have that many people that have been serving this organization with distinction for that long. And what's even more remarkable, in my humble opinion, is that we have a full, really diverse team of Federation employees with full talents and skills. Their passion, commitment, and performance should again be commended by all of us, so thank you. In 1998, the band Cinderella came out with a song called You Don't Know What You've Got Till It's Gone. You might remember it, some of you. The assumption in that was that you didn't really appreciate the relationship you were in until it was over, and then you appreciated it once it was gone. Well, for me, the reality is I appreciated Lisa all along. And so I really wanted to publicly thank you. And if it were up to me, they would change the song. I have to read it because I wrote it down. I know what I've got and will miss it terribly when it's gone. So Lisa, thank you for everything. This community and our Federation owes you. I mean it. Daniel Hers, Mazel Tov, to you and your whole family. You've now been appointed to what I consider to be the premier volunteer position in the Jewish community. You seem thrilled, thank you. The nice part about it is you get the year to acclimate, to learn, to grow, and to be with the best of the best. All the past presidents in this room support you 100%, and you have a unique opportunity ahead of you. And for us, we get to watch you ascend to the top of the mountain. But there'll be more to share about you next year. And of course, to our president and my friend, a man I now play old Jewish softball with on Sunday mornings, Dan Schlupfman. Congratulations on really an incredible first year, and I mean that. We talk almost every day, sometimes 3-4 times a day, and I fail sometimes to acknowledge the achievements that you've done. You spoke tonight about a lot of organizational achievements. I think they're personal for you as well. You constantly strive to make us better. You're always available. And your desire for this federation to ascend the throne is truly remarkable. And I want to thank you, and I look forward to year 2. Unless Gina's going to mock me then. So to be honest with you, and a lot of you know me, I had a lot of writer's block about tonight. The past year, and really even this season, I've spoken an awful lot about a lot of things. And it's often hard to come up with new shtick or new material, part of the expression. You know, I'm not a comedian that spends a night or two at a set in one location and moves somewhere else to a new audience and can reel out the same shtick night after night. So I really was stumbling the last couple of days, and I was looking for things or topics that were relevant to talk about tonight. And I even did this thing where I used, quote, the Google. I'm making fun of something, but I used the Google machine to see if maybe Taylor Swift had something to offer. She seems to be the hottest thing going other than Federation. And so I found this story from Taylor Swift where she said, I'll read it so that I get it right for you. She used to straighten her hair to be like everyone else, and now finds it funny that everyone wants to emulate her hair. So I would be flattered if you all wanted to emulate my hair. And then I realized I have absolutely nothing with Taylor Swift. But it did occur to me that some of the things that Dan spoke about in his remarks and some of the things that make Taylor Swift such a powerhouse are people. They're individuals, right? It's what makes everything we do possible. And I don't know, a lot of you were at the concert. There were what, 80,000 people in the Meadowlands, 75? It's like remarkable what can happen with people. And so, Eureka, I found what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about people. Because that's who we are. Over the past year, I have spoken a lot. And I'm always talking about people, and I'm talking about stories. Right? I spoke about a young man that I met in Gondar, Ethiopia, right? 18 years old. Family is waiting. So he's been approved to make Aliyah, but the family hasn't made it yet. We were invited into it. It's a mud hut. There's no electricity. There's no plumbing. And he lives there with his parents and his siblings. And they make do. And we're in a small group of 4 or 5 sitting in this mud hut. And the question is asked of him from someone in the group. Why do you want to move to Israel? And his answer was, I want to learn Hebrew. I want to join the army. And I want to defend the Jewish people. This is from a person who has no plumbing and no electricity in the house. In Poland, I met with Anna and her teenage daughter. Anna lived in Kiev, thought she was relatively safe from the bombing, but eventually her neighborhood started to get hit. The mayor had told everyone in that neighborhood that she was living in to head to the shelters. There's one problem. The shelters were all locked up. A bunch of them broke into the shelter. There's no plumbing again. There's no electricity. She actually explained to us that they had to use jars for their biological needs. Her 15-year-old daughter was starting to break down emotionally and mentally. She didn't know what to do. She knew she was Jewish. She found someone who's connected to the Jewish Agency for Israel, spent 4 days on a bus to go to Lvov, a trip that should take not more than 6 to 8 hours on a bus. Eventually made herself to Lublin in Poland, which is probably 80 miles from the border, and is sharing this story with about 20 of us. And she's breaking down and she's crying. And the one thing she's constantly saying is, thank you. Thank you. You saved me. You saved my daughter. Her daughter shared with us pictures that she drew as an escape for being trapped in this shelter for all that time. And then in Israel 2 months ago, a group of us went to Nahariya for a special service during Yom HaZikaron, Israeli Memorial Day. And we were given a private tour of Yad Lebanim, which is the memorial center, so to speak, for the fallen Naharians who have been lost due to terror and have been lost due to war. And we sit through a ceremony, and it's a moving ceremony. There's a picture of every citizen, every person from Nahariya who had been lost due to those things. And at the end of the night, we're invited to Gil Barsano's house. Gil Barsano's son Adar lost his life at the age of 20 in 2014 in the Gaza war. He was one of the casualties. And we're at his house having scotch, and we're really celebrating his life. And I know that Gil's got a huge hole in his heart. And Gil is a massive figure. He's a big guy, he's a strong guy. He's actually the chief of the fire department in Nahariya. And he pulls me over and he has a balcony, and he pulls me over and he says, thank you. He says, every time somebody from northern New Jersey remembers or talks about his son, a little piece of his son is still alive. People. And then the fourth vignette I'm going to share with you is personal. My son Josh recently returned from Birthright Israel Memorial Day. It was actually his 4th time in Israel. For those of you who don't know his bio, he went to Solomon Schechter for elementary and middle school. He went to the New Jersey Y camps throughout his time. He actually worked as a counselor and in the main offices at the JCC. He played ice hockey for the Maccabi team, actually, and even spent 4 weeks working in South Africa with BBYO. And I pick him up at the airport, and I don't even have to ask. And he says to me, Dad, I love Israel now. I totally get it. I just love it. And there's another individual impacted from the work of the people in this room. And these are 4 vignettes of 4 very different stories. An 18-year-old Ethiopian young man, a Ukrainian woman and her daughter, an Israeli man who was most difficult, challenge and loss of his life, and my own son who lives quite differently here in northern New Jersey. There's 4 people. It's one community, and it's one Jewish community. And all 4 represent the fabric of our greater story. All 4 are interconnected and all positively impacted by the acts of individual kindness from people in this community. It's really the story we weave and the story we tell, and it's who we are. Jeff Winger, who played Joel McHale in the very underrated sitcom Community, stated that people can find the good in almost anything, and when we do, we become a community. So I say to all of you, if we can help Ethiopian Jews settle in our eternal homeland, if we can save a family in need from war, if we can fill a void of the tremendous loss in someone's life, and if we can build a connection for our youth to our own identity, then we are indeed a community. And so for that I say thank you and good night. Although I